See how effortlessly the lies spill out of their mouths? All corpos are the same, but try as they might, they cannot alter the sands of time.
So we were absolutely thrilled to be able to negotiate a deal with Microsoft to ensure that that franchise remains available on PlayStation platforms for the next 10 years. And that was very important to us, and we're very happy to have done that deal.
Well, now he says they were delighted to have negotiated the deal with Microsoft. This is the same guy who was flying around Brussels relentlessly trying to block the deal. Sony never even sat on the table with Microsoft, let alone engage in meaningful negotiations. Instead, Sony cowered behind regulatory bodies, and only once those regulatory bodies got systematically destroyed by the machinations of a larger capitalist machine did Sony emerge out of the shadows to sign this 10-year deal.
But the timeline is a little different though, right? Because why didn't you agree to the deal when it was first offered? And instead you were part of the case with the FTC, a key witness for the FTC.
Jim Ryan's stuttering response is about as weak and without substance as that of the FTC.
Yeah, you know, we're at risk of getting very granular here, but there are deals and deals. A deal that was offered at a certain point of time may not have been the deal that was actually signed.
Jim Ryan forgets to mention just how loudly Sony was pitifully playing the victim in all of this. Do you remember the statement from Jim Ryan? Our business would never recover if Microsoft degraded Call of Duty on PlayStation. Not even pulling the game, according to Sony. Just getting an inferior version of Call of Duty on PlayStation would have caused their consumers to desert the platform in droves. The market leader so horrendously exposed and reliant on one third-party title for the entirety of its business. But according to PlayStation zealots, PlayStation's identity was built off the back of its incredible first-party titles. No?
The PlayStation depended on third-party developers and publishers to bring content in. We built a platform, we built some software, but the majority of the opportunity was spread against Electronic Arts, Activision, Ubisoft, Namco, Capcom. Sony was happy not to be the biggest publisher on the platform as long as they could increase it.
As much as Sony fanboys laud PlayStation's first-party efforts, this is only something that really became a thing in the middle of the PlayStation 3 generation as a direct consequence of Xbox competing in this space.
The company slashed prices multiple times for the PS3, but still lagged behind Microsoft's Xbox 360 and Nintendo's Wii.
The company picked itself up, brushed itself off, came up with some of the most amazing games of the generation. Uncharted began on PS3, Killzone was on PS3, Resistance was on PS3, and knew that we had to win out by not being a computer in your living room, but by being a game machine in your house.
Next time a single-digit IQ Sony fanboy dares to open their trap to downplay Xbox, remind them of this fact. But remember, these corpos can't help with their doublespeak.
It wasn't about taking shares of the pie, it was about making the pie itself bigger. And I think that was a difference of approach that helped the company to be successful.
Making the pie bigger? Really? Apparently engaging in aggressive money-hunting deals so that you take what third parties have built and keeping them for yourself isn't taking a share of the pie at all. It was making the pie bigger. Lo and behold, according to Shawn Layden, Sony has apparently discovered the magic ability of simultaneously retaining the pie and eating it. The truth is this, Sony was stuffing its face on that third-party pie, but as soon as Microsoft did the same, the PlayStation Nation was up in arms at this strategy, ignoring the legacy of their beloved brand. But if you're still not convinced, you're about to witness the small half-life of the oral salvo of this corporate jargon spilling out of the mouths of these suits who unwittingly cannot help but shoot themselves in the foot. The screams, however, are only audible by those that are not deaf, but also not dumb and blind.
I see the consolidation in the industry. I see people like Microsoft or Embracer or some groups out of Saudi Arabia buying up a bunch of studios. And I see consolidation to be the enemy of creativity. The Insomniac guys.
And I think that was your last acquisition that you did before you left PlayStation.
If we've commoditized the product, you're just going to get more of the same.
God bless
it's
him,
not, yeah, I was gonna say Insomniac has been killing it this generation.
If we've commoditized the product, you're just going to get more of the same.
But throughout its time in the gaming industry, Sony itself has also acquired more than a dozen game development studios, and many of these studios have gone on to produce some of its biggest hits. Insomniac Games was behind the PlayStation 5's record-breaking success with Spider-Man 2 in 2023.
When they do something original, and Ratchet ain't even original, right? Ratchet, I mean, it's original for Sony, but I mean, it's been around for a long time. It's not a new IP.
You had this interesting argument about Microsoft buying Activision and what that could mean for exclusives, what that could mean for cloud streaming. At the same time, Sony has done very similar things, buying studios to make them exclusive or making exclusive deals with companies like Square.
All they do is lie! But no matter how obvious that lie, the Horde will lap it up. They have no awareness. And speaking of awareness, does Shawn Layden have any awareness of himself? How can a man so boldly open his trap to say the things you've just heard him say about consolidation, yet this man is the strategic advisor at Tencent of all companies, the Chinese mega corporation that has consolidated more than most in the industry? The truth is stranger than fiction. But worse still, aren't the paid corporate suits that are just doing their jobs? It's the fan base comprising of consumers.
You know, when it comes to supporting the devs, you know, something I say, me and Barry say it a lot, and some, you know, is, well, you know, they're getting the money from, you know, this company or that company, so, you know, that's all that matters, you know.
Consumers that loudly proclaim that they consume, to the very corporation that feeds off their consumption. Watch Shawn as he nods away in agreement as PlayStation fans pat themselves on the back for choosing the most favorable and expensive method of consumption to appease their corporate overlords. But don't worry, it's all done under the guise of supporting the devs.
What matters to me is, oh, I'm just getting the game at a subsidized price.
Apparently, developers who put their games on Xbox Game Pass have a gun to their heads.
I don't know, I just think buying games is still the most optimal way of supporting the hobby.
Absolutely.
Then buy them. Did Microsoft eliminate the ability for its consumers to purchase games? It's a shame the devs weren't supporting this chap while he was screaming and asking,
where the fuck is factions?
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
the intention to support the devs by these mega fans should be lauded, no? Especially when they seem more intent on supporting devs than the very corporations that they evangelize. Did buying PlayStation games stop the mass layoffs that afflicted Sony, that shuttered multiple projects and studios? What happened to supporting the devs, huh?
Get in there, buy the game.
It really feels good to have that vindication.
Apparently, this is the taste of vindication.
Someone did a mathematical calculation and decided that just getting rid of the studio is probably better for the bottom line of the company in the overall.
Supporting the devs.
Businesses are just running, revenue, cost. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. My only concern about the whole consolidation movement, whether it was Embracer gobbling up studios left and right, or
why does he keep forgetting to mention one of the biggest gaming companies in the world guilty of consolidation? The one he works for. You see, it isn't just Phil Spencer and company that have silver tongues. PlayStation's alumni are just that much more brazen in their proclamations, and the manner in which they hiss in the ears of their faithful fans should be studied, because it sure is effective. Compare the variety of titles being offered by Xbox and its first-party roadmap with that of PlayStation. How is it that the platform with the so-called unsustainable service is faring better here?
you're just going to get more of the same.
But what do I know? I'm not the ultimate consumer. PlayStation fans are. They are not only offering free marketing services, they launch an aggressive PR campaign on behalf of Sony, demanding everyone support the devs in the only way they deem acceptable. No other methods will be considered sufficient. No deviation permitted. And before you know it, their rituals will require them to prostrate not to Providence, but to PlayStation itself. So the question remains, are you doing your part.